Mike Tyson. Mike Tyson earned more than $400 million with his fists. By 2003, he couldn't pay his bills. At his peak, Tyson was the highest paid athlete on earth. A single fight against Lennox Lewis paid him around $100 million. The money left faster than it arrived. A 52-room Connecticut mansion with its own nightclub. A fleet of cars, mountains of jewelry, an entourage that lived off him for years. And, most famously, pet Bengal tigers. Court records from his bankruptcy showed months where his living expenses passed $400,000 and against almost no income. In 2003, Tyson filed for bankruptcy. $23 million in debt, including over $13 million owed to the IRS. He later said something remarkable about it. "I never even think about losing $400 million. I blew money and I'm going to get it again." He did, partly. The podcast, the cannabis brand, the comeback fights. The money came back. The $400 million never did. Johnny Depp. Johnny Depp earned $650 million in his career. His problem was spending it faster than any career could earn it. According to court filings from his dispute with his former managers, Depp's lifestyle cost around $2 million a month. 14 residences, a 156-foot yacht, 45 luxury cars, 200 pieces of fine art, $30,000 a month on wine, a figure Depp objected to, saying it was far more. And the single most famous purchase, $3 million to fire the ashes of writer Hunter S. Thompson out of a cannon. By 2017, Depp said he was in a $100 million hole, with years of unpaid taxes. He sued his managers for mismanagement. They countersued, saying he alone was responsible. The case settled. He never filed for bankruptcy. The Hollywood machine kept paying. Depp blamed the people managing the money. The people managing the money pointed at the man spending it. Nicolas Cage. Nicolas Cage bought 2 castles, a private island, a haunted mansion, and the skull of a dinosaur. Then the IRS came looking. Through the 2000s, Cage earned $20 million a film and spent like the money would never stop. A 16th century castle in Germany. Another in England. An island in the Bahamas. Shrunken heads. Albino cobras. A 9-foot pyramid tomb in New Orleans, bought for his own future burial. And a $276,000 Tyrannosaurus skull, which he was later forced to return because it had been stolen from Mongolia. When the real estate market crashed in 2008, Cage couldn't get out in time. The IRS filed liens against him, over $6 million for a single year of unpaid taxes, around $14 million in total. But here's what makes Cage different from everyone else on this list. He never filed for bankruptcy. He just said yes to nearly every movie for a decade and worked until the debt was gone. 50 Cent. In 2015, 50 Cent filed for bankruptcy while living in a 52-room mansion, the same one Mike Tyson had lost. But this bankruptcy was not what it looked like. Curtis Jackson was one of the smartest earners in hip-hop history. His stake in Vitamin Water reportedly paid him around $100 million when Coca-Cola bought the company in 2007. What sent him to bankruptcy court wasn't spending, it was lawsuits. A $17 million judgment over a headphone deal gone wrong, and another $7 million owed to a woman whose private tape he had leaked. So he filed for Chapter 11, the kind of bankruptcy that doesn't mean you're broke. It means your assets are frozen, your creditors have to negotiate, and your lawyers buy you time. 2 years later, he paid about $23 million under a court plan and walked out. Still wealthy, career intact. For most people, bankruptcy is the end of the story. For the rich, it can be a legal instrument. 50 Cent didn't collapse. He restructured. Curt Schilling. Curt Schilling didn't lose his fortune on mansions or jewelry. He lost it trying to build a video game. Schilling earned around $114 million pitching in the major leagues. After retiring, he poured more than $50 million of it into his own game studio, 38 studios, and convinced the state of Rhode Island to guarantee a $75 million loan to lure the company there. The studio spent 6 years building an ambitious online fantasy game. It released exactly one game, which sold modestly. while the flagship project never shipped at all. In May 2012, the money ran out. The company's 379 employees found out they'd been laid off when their paychecks simply didn't arrive. The studio collapsed, and Rhode Island's taxpayers were left covering roughly $38 million of the wreckage. Schilling lost the fortune doing the thing everyone says the rich should do, building a business. So the graveyard doesn't care what your intentions were. Wesley Snipes. Wesley Snipes made $40 million in 5 years and decided the income tax didn't legally apply to him. The star of Blade fell in with a group of tax protesters who preached something called the 861 argument, a fringe theory claiming that money earned inside the United States isn't taxable. Snipes stopped filing tax returns entirely. Then he went further, demanding $11 million in refunds for taxes he had already paid. The IRS does not negotiate with theories. In 2008, a jury acquitted Snipes of the serious felony fraud charges, but convicted him on 3 counts of failing to file returns, and the judge gave him the maximum, 3 years in federal prison. He served 28 months. The IRS pursued him for over $23 million. At one point, Snipes offered to settle for 4 cents on the dollar. The government declined. Every other person on this list lost their money to spending or lawsuits or bad bets. Snipes is the only one who lost years of his life. Michael Jackson. Michael Jackson was the biggest earner in music history, and he died $500 million in debt. At his peak, Jackson made as much as $100 million a year. He also made one of the greatest investments in entertainment history, buying the Beatles' song catalog for $47 million. But the spending never stopped. Neverland Ranch cost $17 million to buy, then tens of millions more for the zoo, the amusement rides, and the private train. To keep the lifestyle running, he borrowed $270 million against his own catalog, spent it, and kept borrowing. Near the end, the interest alone was costing him $30 million a year. When he died in 2009, his estate faced more than $500 million in debt and claims. And then came the twist. Freed from the spending, his catalog and estate earned over $2 billion in the years after his death. Michael Jackson's finances had one fatal flaw. Him. Evander Holyfield. There's a highway in Georgia named Evander Holyfield Highway. It leads to a mansion with 109 rooms that Evander Holyfield no longer owns. Holyfield earned nearly $250 million in the ring, around $248 million, including $34 million for a single rematch against Mike Tyson. He spent it on the largest single-family home in the county, 54,000 square feet, 109 rooms, a bowling alley, a movie theater. The upkeep alone ran about $1 million a year. One December, the electric bill was $17,000. Add 11 children with multiple women, failed business ventures, and the math stopped working. Holyfield defaulted on a $10 million loan, and in 2012, the bank took the house. He never filed for bankruptcy, and he famously insisted, "I'm not broke, I'm just not liquid." $250 million gone into a house he couldn't keep. The bank owns the mansion now. The highway still has his name. These were people who lost millions. Some companies lost billions on a single product.